Okay, carrying right along here. I don't know what the fuck happened to the technology, but I was just into some discussions with my provider, and I don't know if maybe they switched something over during the time that we hung up and now, but who knows? So, all right, carrying right along. Jeez whiz, not gonna let it get me down though. Too many people hating lately that they ain't gonna win. I'm gonna win. So, so as I had stated about the counseling, he didn't want to sit on the couch and talk to some stranger about anything, and that is why, they never ended up actually going to counseling. So, okay. Yes, I am back because, like I said, I'm not going to let the haters win. They can try, but they ain't going to win. I'm going to win. My trust issues are severe, though. People who trying to get close to me, I'm not sure if I even want to, because how do I know I can even trust anybody anymore? That is a real thing. And although, Shanann didn't think he had it in him to be with another woman, little did she know just how much he was capable of, never mind just being with another woman, right? Hi, Billy. How are ya? Instead of it being his mother, it ended up being his lover. Aren't we all getting closer to death each day, right, Billy? I think that's what age is supposed to do. It's interesting that Shanann had thoughts to tape her conversations with her mother-in-law due to probably her mother-in-law twisting things around and making it seem like it was all Shanann's fucking fault, whatever the hell was going on, not wanting to look herself in the mirror and decide maybe she might have some fucking, wrong in the situation. It takes two to tango. Yeah, you got that right, Joe. Taking divorce on his schedule. Hi, David. I am trying to be more self aware and not swear as much. That's a personal goal. All good, Billy. All good. Sometimes we need somebody to remind us, right? You're funny, David. Chris Watts is an asshat, and I fell in love with the girls after doing research, hearing him on national television news stations begging for his wife and children to come home. It prompted me to go over to my freaking computer and check who the heck this was. Yeah, that was a sheer fact. Like, that was a sheer clue that he was lying, right? Some of my friends stopped by to keep me company. Yeah, he definitely couldn't look anybody in the face when he was at the hearing. 2 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday. He's talking to his coworker. Apparently, for Cece's needs, supposedly, they had a whole bunch of medications stored in the basement for her because she needed it twice a day. So I guess they had to have extras on hand. I don't know. They bombarded me all at once. I want to get everything out there. What the heck is he talking about? Everything out there, really? Good Morning America contacting Jamie. I suppose there could be any number of answers to that question, though, Yvette. News crews are doing live updates on the corner of the street. Anything new? I'm talking with the FBI now, right now. What does that mean? New developments. Just got done with the FBI. So 9:30 at night, and then by 2 o'clock in the morning, he was done with the FBI. Praying they can make some good progress is the notes. But while the conversation was referring to Cece's medication, so I'm not so sure about the oxy stuff. The pictures of what Chris Watts took while he missed the ultrasound that him and his wife had planned. We could see where his level of importance was with everything. It certainly was not focused on his wife or his missing children, even when all of that went down. So why would the ultrasound be any more important, right? All right, folks. Well, I don't know. Tell me your thoughts. Mentioned in the letters of the cattle to cattle from her book. Well, that whole book is really based off of a few visits that one woman took to talk to Chris Watts, and a letter that she had actually sent to him, right? He supposedly responded to that letter, but in my opinion, the only way to authenticate that is to have copies of the handwritten letter, proof in his writing what he's saying and whatever. But even that doesn't decipher whether or not it's truthful. And we all know how much of a pathological liar Chris Watts has been throughout this entire situation, throughout his marriage, throughout, the missing, throughout the Amber Alert. He was very clueless and didn't seem to even really care about what the next biggest step was. He could barely care to go in for the ultrasound to be celebratory of the son that he had made. It's pretty unfortunate that this was sort of the last moments of Shanann's life. Unfortunate that she, sort of fell victim to his heinous activities and behavior. I completely agree that a polygraph is necessary. However, it's only going to determine that Chris Watts is still a fucking liar. And I mean, what else? What else? We already know that, right? It would be nice to be able to have some specific questions that would be able to tell us if some of the things that he has said is a lie or truthful. That way we can X out all the shit that's bullshit, that is a lie, that we don't even need to hear, right? And I'm sure that a lot of this stuff still is. Will we ever get the full truth? I don't know. You tell me. What do you think? Hello, Tambra. How are you, honey? Totally. We all know Chris Watts is a huge freaking liar. I mean, there's just no if, ands, or buts about it. Him and Nikki, they're both freaking liars. So, but if there's ever another polygraph, it would be nice to have that decipher the things that have been quoted and said from his lips to find out if that's actually a fact or not. And I mean, if he's lying, scratch, scratch, scratch. When are we going to get the truth here? But with the case closed, really all we're dealing with is his consciousness. And he clearly doesn't have much of a conscience to have done all of this stuff and then gone on to cook chicken breasts on the barbecue, because like who knows what he did with those girls and when exactly everything happened, right? But his little message of I'm having a hard time trying to remember how to eat and stuff like that to his buddy, yeah, I highly fucking doubt that. Well, I don't know about once a liar, always a liar, because I've had lies in my past, I think that you are supposed to learn from your mistakes and realize that the lie doesn't get you any further ahead. And it might be years down the line before he realizes that he really does need to clear his conscience. He's not able to sleep anymore. He's not able to do whatever anymore. I mean, eventually this will catch up to him psychologically as well, I believe. But it probably won't be for a long freaking time, you guys. I don't always think, yeah, like I'm with you on that, Tambra. I don't think that once a liar is necessarily always a liar. Like I said, I learned though, being a liar in my younger years, what that got me and how much further that it got me, which was not further ahead, and how much more difficult it was to juggle all those lies, remember them, and keep up with them, was also a huge task that I turned out to sort of change a page to the book kind of thing, and I became so fucking truthful about everything that I'm even able to self admit when I've been a piece of shit myself, when I have been a failure, when I have been a horrible person. But I have a conscience, You know what I mean? I don't know about Chris Watts and the way that he was able to do this methodically and try to get away with it just tells me he's completely not all there, because the fact that he didn't realize there was even going to be consequences to what he was doing is just, it just blows my mind, that he actually would think that he could go on and be with Nicole Kessinger after all of this is just mind. It's a mind fuck. Like I can't do it. Yeah, the lie thing, if you start living that kind of a life, it's more of a chore to have to keep up with all that and remember it all about who you told what to and all of that shit than it is to just be upfront and honest about whether or not you've been a piece of shit or a liar or not, right? And if you can lay your cards on the table, I think in my opinion, you are much better off and further ahead of the game than if you try to keep up with lies and build lies upon lies. Eventually that will catch up to you, to every one of the people who are living a life like that. I strongly believe that. There were 2 people in the Watts home on the 13th. Absolutely, YouTube monitors. Completely, 100%. But I think that he thinks that he can still get away with webbing these lies and stuff. And like, eventually, like I said, I feel like it's going to catch up to him and he's not going to be able to live with himself. And eventually, with all his spirituality that he's come to know and whatever and grow in, I strongly believe that if he's lying about anything in this story, which I think he's lying about a lot of it, he's going to eventually get that feeling of consciousness that he needs to clear it. He needs to be upfront and honest and get the real deal off his chest, or he's never going to be able to get over it. So I think right now is the game part where he thinks that, yeah, he's being honest about this or that, and there is some truth or honesty to little tidbits and details here and there, but it isn't the full truth and nothing but the truth. I mean, I think we're going to be floored once we actually get that. Oh, I definitely think that his story is BS. Yeah, I think he will break one day. This is going to catch up to him. It just is probably going to take a hell of a long time. Look at how long he stuck it out in his 8-year relationship before breaking. So who knows? It might be close to a decade before we get the full final truth of what fully actually really happened. But who knows? This is just me premonitioning whether or not this, because I don't believe what's coming out of his mouth. I really don't. With the footage of Nate's camera that shows specifically 2 different height of people, 2 different leg lengths of jeans, a couple of different pairs of shoes, the ponytail, the hoodie versus the sweater, the long sleeve t-shirt, right? I mean, there was just completely different people coming out on those cameras, and it had to have been triggered, a few times before we got the actual recordings. And I'm sure that there's a lot of pieces in this case we still don't even have, you guys. So, and I have said this in a mini conversation with another viewer of mine in regards to the missing pieces, you guys. If the authorities would have divulged to the public that Christopher Watts was in fact premeditatedly planning to kill his family, it would have probably made it look more so like someone else absolutely fucking knew about it, and it was probably the person he was spending 99% of his time with. Not going to mention any names, but you know who I'm talking about. So, I mean, I think that with them having released absolutely every single detail, it would have showed that he had some planning to this, which would have probably made them have to be forced to put the death penalty on the table, which would have dragged this case out for years, which is not what the victim's family wanted at all. So I believe now that the information that is kind of incriminating in that way was withheld, along with some other things, because there's bits and pieces in interviews that even y'all have mentioned. Hey, where is Jim's interview? Did we ever hear from, what he said or did, right? So there's a lot more to this than we're probably, going to get in the next while. So I think Watts murdered before. You're very entitled to your opinion and to share it here, Mr. or Mrs. YouTube monitors. And thank you for sharing it. It's very possible, but I mean, even as a youth, though, we wouldn't have had access to any of those records. We don't know his past. We know that he didn't have an adult criminal record, but there's also unsolved crimes, I'm sure, all around that area. So, I mean, who knows, right? Now that they do have, his prints and his DNA and all of that, who knows if there's going to be more information that comes out in the future about that, right? The initial investigation was closed way too soon, Tambra, way too soon. They hadn't even finished the forensic testing and it was already done, shut, sentence closed, everything halted. There wasn't even any completion of analysis because of how fast that opened and closed. Quite shocking, and we still have a lot more to talk about, folks. We've got a lot more of the case files to go through, and we'll be back here again next week, Wednesday, 6 p.m. Central Time, to keep going with our Wicked Watts Wednesday theme. And then we'll be back face-to-face Sunday at 1 p.m. But definitely a lot more interesting conversations. It is hard to believe that Shanann wouldn't fight back. That's very true. And I cannot wait to hear more of your thoughts on the books and the letters and the authenticity of all of it. Again, I kind of think we're down to one-sided stories, we're getting a one-sided event to an interview kind of thing. We've got her take on it. We don't really have his. We might have some words about what happened with the whole crime, but we don't really have the truth in all of it, right? So to say how many times that she went into the Watts house for a reason. She would probably never know what that reason was, but I'm sure police are covering their bases. Oh, I'm sure, Inspired Dreamer, that you're onto something with that. They definitely have to be careful legally. I think that's why they couldn't ask too many, incriminating type questions in her interview with Dwayne Kessinger. And that was a very, very controlled interview on Dwayne Kessinger's part, despite there being very little physical spoken words that he was in control of that conversation. It was very noticeable with the two comments that were made from Dwayne in that interview to the officer giving that interview, that he was in charge of it, not the officer. And for what reason, who knows, folks? I definitely think there would have been some twists that would have been put in and things like that. Same type of thing that I believe happened with some of the daytime talk shows, that, some negative influence type wow and shock factor, things were basically said that didn't exist. If you were somebody who had read the disclosure document and all the evidence, it would have verified that, so it's unfortunate that some people feel the need to do that, when in all honesty, when these cases are a real deal, they're already shocking enough. I don't think there needs to be lies and twists and whatever on it. But we will definitely be continuing this conversation next week on Wednesday, folks. If you're enjoying it, smash that like button. I seriously appreciate the support. And I couldn't do this without you guys. Your commentary our interactions together and the way we are all cordial with one another, despite agreeing or disagreeing or bringing in a new concept or theory or perhaps conspiracy, whatever it may be, everybody's welcome to express themselves here. So I really appreciate the thumbs up. It's an awesome form of support. So, Christine Carr, if you wanted to do some research on that and have some information for us on Wednesday about it, I would love to talk more about it. I would even look up the exact info you found and talk about it with you guys. So, much love to you guys. It's as usual, TGIS. Thank goodness it's Sherry. And that's my corny little saying for my channel. If you're new here and you enjoy hanging out, hit that subscribe button. If you're someone who wants to be notified whenever I do a post or I'm live or I put up a new video, please definitely hit the notification bell. Make sure you select the all option so that you don't miss a thing. We will definitely see each other face to face Sunday, 1 p.m., folks. I cannot wait. We'll definitely have a great rest of the week. Lots of new opportunities. Keep your heads held high. Know your worth and don't let anybody trample all over you, right? I can't wait to continue this conversation about more of these interesting factors. Maria Kitty Cat, make sure to bring this up next week, folks. Sorry for the technical interruption. I will try to edit these together and put it into one, but who knows? I don't know how skillful I am in that area. We shall see. All right. Much love to you guys, and we'll see you guys again on Sunday. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Stay tuned for another true story with me, Sherry Wiens. Bye for now, folks. Much love.